Hi, my name is Tammy Reger, and I am here to share the last two truths about the soul that may be getting you tripped up. Now, there's a part one of this video where I discussed the first three. It was supposed to be five mistruths, but I really went really deep into the first three, and I really want to be able to cover the last two because and these two are somewhat separate from the other three. So it was great to have a second video. The first one is this idea that your soul is perfect. I hear this all the time. Your soul laughs at you. Yeah. It's like having a friend. So I'm clairaudient, so I can hear my soul or higher self. And a lot of times they'll laugh at me. They're like, what are you doing? Like, it's like having a friend in my ear. Your soul is not perfect. Your soul contains all the information that you have ever experienced in any lifetime that you've experienced since it was created. Now, you can use vessel testing if you choose to find out how many lives you've lived. And when I say lives, it could have been a month, you could have miscarried or stillbirth or, died when you were a child. They're not necessarily all full lives. And every single one of those lifetimes, you learn something about yourself. You may have mastered a gift or knowledge. You may have studied with Jesus or Mother Mary or Thoth or Lakshmi, Buddha. And even though you may not be any of those things in this lifetime, your soul can give you access to the information that you learned or mastered in that lifetime for you to use it now. Let's say you did study as a Buddhist and you master something as a Buddhist. Or let's say you in a past life mastered your psychic ability to be able to see clairvoyantly, as an example. And in this lifetime, you're struggling with clairvoyance. It's really not something that's working for you. Well, if you've already mastered in another lifetime, then you can access the knowledge that will allow you to be able to do the same in this lifetime. And your soul holds that information. Your soul has all of the keys to all of the places in time where you can call that information forward into this lifetime. It can also be in the future. Problem is that we have all these traumatic events that have happened to us in many lifetimes, past, present, and future, that prevent us from being able to access those things. And that is the only thing that prevents us from really being able to call that information forward. Now, this traumatic event energy or energetic trauma, which is what I call it, your soul has those too. And your soul knows where in time, or your higher self, those events happened. Excuse me, that are causing you the most problems with the clairvoyance. Your higher self says, let's go to that lifetime. Let's remember what happened. Let's remember what you were doing and let's heal what the hurt there. Now, some people want to just heal the hurt and not actually look at what was happening in that lifetime. If you just heal it, then you miss the golden nuggets. The traumatic event, the energetic trauma is actually tied to the things that you mastered potentially or have knowledge that could help now. Then they're coupled. The traumatic event ties to that. So you just remove the energetic trauma of the event, you lose access potentially to this other information that can help you now. So in the work that I do with the higher self alchemy, we focus on first finding the event, but then figuring out what was happening. What is there that your higher self may want you to actually remember now in order for you to help your current physical experience in this reality? Once that is all understood, then we let go of the energetic trauma and we let go of the energetic trauma and then we pull all that information into the present. But all of that is contained within your soul, higher self. So the soul is just the piece of your higher self that resides in your heart space. And there's like cord that goes from your soul to your higher self. In a nutshell, there's much more to that. But I want to use those terms interchangeably because they really are interchangeable. The soul is part of the higher self. Okay. So everything that you seek, all the answers that you desire, what's your path? What's your purpose? What are your gifts? What knowledge? All of those things are already embedded within your soul. Your higher self knows where you can find them. See, you came with a map. People don't tell you this. And that is the map that your higher self will show you what you need to next heal or remember in order for you to move forward on your journey. And your higher self has had all the information. I was raised Roman Catholic, and they sure as hell didn't talk about higher self, but they talked about the soul a lot, but from a very limited perspective. I was taught that the soul was something that went to heaven after I died. That was it. It didn't have any other purpose other than that until it died. But that is not the truth. Your soul is your connection to your higher self. Your higher self has all this information that you can use in this lifetime to better your life, to be able to come in alignment with your own truth, your path, your purpose, your gifts, all of that. And even though we go through this amnesia thing, and by the way, most children today are not going through that. How nice would it that been for us to remember what it is that we lost during the amnesia phase? Now, you can have access to any of that. First, it starts with developing relationship with your higher self and understanding the communication method that works best for the both of you. Now, I'm clairaudient, so it's pretty easy. I can't say it was easy all along. It was definitely hard when I had multiple voices in my head and needed to understand who was talking, and then started to control it so that I would only hear one voice at a time. And when I don't hear more than one voice, what to do about it. But your higher self and you have a way that you can communicate. And yes, I understand clairaudience would be great. A lot of my clients, I just want to hear them. Like, if that's not in your wheelhouse for this lifetime, then it won't happen. Just like you choose a gender, religion, and culture for your soul to experience in this lifetime, you also choose what gifts, psychic gifts, that it wants to focus on this lifetime. And that clairaudience or clairvoyance might not even be on the chopping block because it's not something your soul wants to actually expand and grow on in this lifetime. So don't waste energy there. Ask your higher self. They will tell you. But it starts with understanding what that communication method is. And once you understand the communication method, you can start to get to know your higher self, his or her personality. I say his or her because, again, I was raised Roman Catholic and it's ingrained in my head. I know it's not true. They are a them, okay? Your higher self has their own personality. They will laugh with you. They'll challenge you. They not to make you suffer, but to have you grow outside your comfort zone. They will show you things that you can't see for yourself, just like a friend. And just like with friends, there's a communication style. And you have to start to understand that it's different when it's your higher self, because unless you're clairaudient, you're not necessarily going to be able to hear them. If you're clairvoyant, you'll get images. If you're claircognizant, you'll get words, but they'll appear in your head. Maybe it's signs, feathers, pennies, words, license plates. There's all kinds of ways that you can start to build your connection to your higher self so that they can start to guide you, to show you the pieces that you have not been able to figure out yourself so that you can start to move forward on your path. I have a free meditation on how to connect to your higher self in the free library that I just built. There's a link to that below if you would like to experience that. And then the final one of this is that your soul doesn't know time. Time is a 3D man-made structure that actually limits us in many ways. There is such thing as cosmic time, which is not by the hours or days. It's based on, say, the cycle of the sun, the cycle of the moon, the planets, and so forth. It is not based on a clock. And even cosmic time, your soul doesn't really align to the way we think it would because we live in a very time-based society. But their experience of time is much either slower or faster than ours. Let's say 2 minutes is like 100 years for us. So it doesn't equate, but time is still not a structure that they understand. So this is one of the things that people ask, well, will I find my soulmate in 3 months? Your higher self and soul don't understand time, and their idea of what that is could be seconds compared to 3 months. And this can get very tricky in here. I've had a lot of clients when I was giving dates where the date would come and go and nothing would happen. I've had that happen for myself. Why is that? Because something changed time. Future is not set in stone. And on the path or timeline that you're currently on, that thing is supposed to happen on this date. But if you switch timelines, that's not necessarily there anymore. And then we beat ourselves up and we don't trust ourselves or the universe in order to provide what we ask for. So there's that. Now, in the previous one, I talked about how your soul has all this access to information and knowledge and gifts, energetic trauma, as well as limiting beliefs from other lifetimes that are either tripping you up or allow you to expand. And here's the kicker. Your soul is experiencing all of those all at once. Remember how I said your soul is part of your higher self? Your higher self has pieces of itself scattered throughout what we call time. And there's a part of your higher self that's experiencing being in ancient Egypt or Lemuria or Atlantis or Germany or France or the Americas, colonial Americas right now. And what can happen is there can be some colluding of time, mergings of time when we work with the soul and the higher self. And that means that some of the information that comes from, say, Atlantis can get colluded into the modern day. And we actually think it's happening now, but it's actually happening, hundreds of thousands of years ago, based on our consciousness of time right now. What happens is that then we start to focus on things that we think are happening now, but they're actually happening back then. And then we start to manifest proof of it here. And I will tell you that there are a lot of things that have happened in the past, in the future, that we do not want to manifest again. Destruction of civilizations, specifically. The killing off of billions of people, animals, plants. There's just a lot of things that have happened through my work, past life work that I do, that have happened that we do not want to repeat again. So when you start to get all tangled up into someone saying something's happening, you need to make sure that it's something actually from this life. And it's not some past life memory that you're hitting in your higher self's energetic core to you. Because remember, that thing that you think is happening now can be happening in another space and time where your higher self is experiencing in that moment. And I know this is confusing, but we need to understand this because a lot of the things that we keep repeating is because we're actually confused about where that thing is actually happening. Meaning it's not necessarily happening in the now, but it happened, let's say, 1,000 or 10,000 years, potentially thousands of years into the future. Now, I'll do a whole video on the future because that's a whole thing on its own. But if we want to break those cycles, we need to start to be able to work with the higher self and our soul and be like, okay, is this from this lifetime or is this something from a past life that I need to assist with and maybe release some energetic trauma around or heal it so that it isn't pulled into this lifetime and I can move forward through time specifically into what we see as the future without that baggage so it doesn't repeat itself. So an example of this, it would be, let's say, end times in Atlantis. Your higher self may be in a body in Atlantis around that time right now. And there may be things happening in this lifetime that remind your higher self of that. And when that happens, you start to have memory, sometimes while dreaming, sometimes meditating, sometimes just flashes of your higher self's memory from way back then, what we consider way back then. And we need to first say to ourselves, okay, is this something happening now that I need to worry about? Or is this something happening in the past? And if it's something happening in the past, we ask our higher selves, is this something I need to heal? Is this something I need to shift? Sometimes you're going to get yes, and sometimes you're going to get no. And if it's no, you need to just walk away, off the shoulders, goodbye. There's nothing for you there. There are literally trillions of versions of you walking the earth at all different times, past, present, and future. And those can start to meld with our current reality that we've chosen to experience right now. And that can cause confusion. So before you follow someone else's path off the cliff. First, ask if that's even something that you actually experience in this lifetime, is whether your higher self is just triggered because it is happening somewhere else. And then what you need to do about it so it doesn't affect you. It's time for us to remember the truth about the soul. The soul is far more than I was definitely taught from Roman Catholic points, and what it can help us with, and how it can help us heal and shift and be able to manifest, to be able to have that flow that we desire, the fulfillment, the joy, the peace, the fun, the adventure that we all desire, instead of sitting at a desk job, sitting at a computer, watching the world go by. That's not what we were created for. We were created to be in that experience. And part of it is to be able to break away from the constructs that they have taught us about the soul, or maybe not specifically taught us, but have led us to these beliefs about the soul that have limited us and been able to take us away from being able to be in that truth and love and peace and joy that we were meant to have. And the abundance isn't just for a few, it was meant for all of us. So we need to start to make peace with this idea that the soul doesn't have a gender, a culture, religion. It has access to every life we've ever lived in the now. That there's a piece of you living in Egypt right now, ancient Egypt, when the pyramids were actually active. There's a piece of you who was living in Lemuria or pre-Lemuria or Atlantis in the beginning, or when Jesus was alive. Maybe you even knew him, or your soul knows him now. And in that, we can start to access the information that your higher self has for you, that she wants to download into you through your soul for you to experience in this lifetime. But in order to do that, you have to work through past life chaos, traumatic events, limiting beliefs, energetic triggers, or emotional triggers, that are preventing you from being able to actually get there. And then once you clear that, your higher self, just with sources assistance, downloads into you those things that you have been separated from because of these traumatic events that have happened throughout time. So that's a little bit deeper than the first two or three that I discussed, but it's super important for us to start to get to that place. It's part of remembering who we are. We are not our environment. Maybe as a child, this is true, but as an adult, our environment doesn't make us. We make our environment. So, and part of that is start to understand some of the truths around the soul, and you starting to work through the things that are preventing you from being able to step into that information fully so you can use it to your advantage and not be at a disadvantage thinking that you have to fight against something. When you fight against something, you're actually fighting against something in yourself. You have more control than that. And once you start to realize that, things really start to change fast. So again, I have a free library that you can access, a meditation. I don't think it's up yet, but it will be up in the next week or two. How to connect to your higher self at a deeper level. Right now, there's some other meditations in there about taking back your power, which is a big thing. Some stuff around your psychic senses, awakening to your divine feminine essence, which we did talk about here, and that's nothing to do with the soul. That is more of a conscious experience, but super important. That's all I can think of right now. But there'll be new content added weekly for the next 4 weeks. And that is one of the meditations that will be in there. Today is December 27th, 2022. So if you're listening within the next month, it should be there. The link below to the free library is available below this video. If you have any questions or things maybe you didn't understand about these last two things, drop them in the comments and I'll do another video. Hope that helps you understand something about yourself. And that is it for this video. I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.